Guyana reaffirms Caribbean condition as a zone of peace at the United Nations Security Council. Venezuela greatly appreciates this rapprochement with Guyana, as our common interest is that our regional affairs are void of United States interference. Clearly, Guyana and Venezuela must strive in future joint patrolling to counter narcotics, illegal immigration, and weapons. A similar arrangement has been recently made at the binational zones of Venezuela and Colombia, which have been promoted by Presidents Petro and Maduro, and we would invite Presidents Irfaan and Nicolás Maduro to do same in regions bordering Guyana and Venezuela. A better understanding between the militaries of Guyana and Venezuela for joint efforts in countering illegal activities would make it unnecessary for the United States to intervene in the region. United States meddling in Venezuela is becoming more obscene. Our sister Republic of Grenada, which shares the ALBA Treaty with other Caribbean nations, Venezuela, Bolivia, Nicaragua, is being harassed by the United States military, requiring the usage of St. George's Airport for military use of United States military assets. Opinion polls in Grenada are likely opposed to such an interference in domestic affairs, as they are well aware of what happened in 1983 when the United States took the island for a regime change operation, which seems to be the objective again. However, the government of Grenada is carefully studying the United States proposal and will take prudential time to reach a decision. Grenadian nationals are likely to be void of United States visas or be applied sanctions or other coercive measures from the United States if the Grenada government refuses to grant island space for offensive activities of the United States military. Trinidad and Tobago, however, remains of concern due to the lack of dialogue between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago officials do not seem interested in dialoguing with Venezuelan nationals or government regarding terms and conditions of the proposed Dragon gas deal. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Attorney General, and the Minister of Energy, they all speak wonders about the Dragon deal, and they stress out that they have already worked everything out with Marco Rubio in the United States. However, the gas is in Venezuela, and although initially we have been interested in pursuing such a deal, Venezuelans are resenting that Trinidad and Tobago officials are not formally proposing to us what would be the alternative. In particular, Venezuelan authorities have not been notified how payment for Venezuelan resources would be made, as Trinidad and Tobago officials insist that they must comply with Marco Rubio's request of extracting Venezuelan gas resources out of Venezuelan maritime exclusive zone to be commercialized by Trinidad and Tobago without any compensation to Venezuela. Perhaps that could be worked out at a later stage, but the immediate stage should be that Trinidad and Tobago takes a more conciliatory position, as Guyana is doing, in rejecting United States military presence in the Caribbean, which should be a zone of peace. Many Caribbean nations are denouncing that the continuous deployment of military assets of the United States into Trinidad and Tobago soil, which are already conducting exercises, has already killed the zone of peace in the Caribbean. And of course, Venezuela feels there is no security and we should not engage into petroleum and gas extraction operations if there is a military presence in the Caribbean, which increases every day. It seems necessary that Prime Minister Kamala Persad takes the necessary step of recognizing Nicolás Maduro as the constitutional president of Venezuela and visit the country for a formal state visit along with her delegation, so that negotiations of Dragon deal can have any chance of success. It looks like we are getting into an impasse because it has been repeated too many times, the achievement of the OFAC license and the agreements with Marco Rubio, and there are no signs whatsoever of any approach with the Venezuelan authorities. And as we know, they already told me in person that such a Dragon deal is not feasible for PDVSA at this time. I was hoping to mediate a little bit and to see what was the other side's position, but the Trinidad and Tobago authorities remain highly secretive, and they are not disclosing to Venezuelans what exactly are they pretending to do, how are they going to compensate us, and how will they guarantee security for the Caribbean, since the United States is on the verge of initiating World War III in Caribbean waters. The situation is so extreme that the United Nations Security Council had to address an urgent meeting. The Russian delegation expressed in such United Nations Security Council meeting that any incursion of United States into Venezuela involving military equipment in violation of Venezuelan sovereignty would be a terrible mistake that would be responded by Russia in agreement with its alliance with Venezuela. China similarly spoke in harsh terms against the United States' pretension of playing the Caribbean by unilateral United States rules. Venezuelan military is non-stop conducting military exercises and receiving non-stop ammunition and additional weapons from Russia, China, and Iran. Iran, simultaneously with the United Nations Security Council, although it does not belong to the Council at this time, expressed a harsh protest note reminding the United States that its military actions are in violation of international law, and harassment of Venezuelan sovereignty will not be tolerated by Iran either. Other countries expressed their support for dialogue and peaceful resolution, including Slovenia, Sierra Leone, Guyana as previously exposed, Algeria, Somalia, Greece, South Korea, Denmark, and Pakistan. As usual, United Kingdom aligned with the United States requesting for war. Panama is increasingly becoming like Puerto Rico, a vassal state void of sovereignty, and is facilitating its territory for United States incursions into Venezuela, and Panama is no longer seen as a reliable member of the Latin American and Caribbean community. France, which is the remaining power at the United Nations Security Council, sounded ambiguous, and its ambassador did not make it clear whether they support war or peace. It looks like they try to sound peaceful, but in reality they are supporting war, as noted by the presence of French warships in their colonial territories. OFAC, the Office of Foreign Assets Control in the United States, is increasingly harassing Iran and proposed a number of sanctions that will make it very difficult to commercialize Iran gas, especially as Iran recently discovered a huge natural gas deposit. Russia similarly faces much trouble in exporting their oil and gas to Europe and other markets. And similarly, Venezuela just received a Chevron license, which does not seem to do well, as Chevron is not producing or exporting as much petroleum as it used to. Venezuela is learning how to extract oil and gas mainly through Chinese capital and support. And of course, companies from other countries such as Russia, Vietnam, Italy, India, Spain are also performing additional oil extraction and distribution, using lots of methodologies to overcome OFAC sanctions, just as Russia and Iran already do. India has become an increasingly reliable ally for Venezuela, whose private and public companies help us in the petroleum business, and much of our petroleum is transported and refined in India. India recently requested the United States to revoke OFAC sanctions on Iran and Venezuela if it were to impose additional sanctions to Russia. What is clear is that Russia, Iran, and Venezuela have an artificial hindrance for perfect competition of their oil and gas resources. And that is probably a measure to artificially increase the oil price, which is not working. In recent days, price of petroleum has plummeted below $60 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude is valued at only $59 a barrel. There is plenty of oil in the planet. There is plenty of competition, and Russia, Iran, and Venezuela are increasingly successful in selling oil at a discount, which makes it very difficult for high-cost producers such as United States shale. North Korea National Day is being celebrated And to the credit of North Korea, much of the international community are realizing that their defensive strategy against United States invasions has proved adequate, as North Korea right now does not feel threatened by foreign invasion of the United States, which is the plight of much of the rest of the world. North Korea will increasingly become involved in military advice to countries such as Russia, Iran, Venezuela, Belarus, and a number of OFAC-sanctioned sovereign states. South Korea should eventually reunite with North Korea after realizing that being such a vassal of the United States is not working out. A symptom that some kind of Korean reunification may eventually occur was seen at the United Nations Security Council when the position of South Korean ambassador speaking about peace and dialogue was very similar to the recent discourse made by North Korea ambassador at the United Nations General Assembly. It seems that positions of North Korea and South Korea are converging at initial stage. United States attempts of provoking World War III are also occurring next to the borders of Russia and next to the borders of Iran, just as we have described across the borders of Venezuela. Leadership of Russia and Iran and Venezuela are increasingly seeing our territories as one big alliance in threat of imperialist aggression, and attack to any of us will be considered an attack on the others. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has expressed an interest in traveling to the Middle East to sign the peace deal with Hamas, Israel, Egypt, Palestine, and other Middle Eastern countries. Public opinion remains skeptic. Gaza population has slowly been returning to Gaza City, destroyed land. There are signs that the Nazi government of Israel is weakening, but everything is too recent. No trust has been built, while Qatar plans to become a mediator in the crisis against the United States and Venezuela. The Venezuelan side cherishes the idea, but the United States has repeated many times that they do not wish to dialogue with Nicolás Maduro, as they would prefer a regime change war. It is unclear how a simultaneous war of the United States against Venezuela, Russia, and Iran simultaneously would unfold, as the United States government will remain shut down for at least an extra week, as the House of Representatives has declared a vacation paid for by taxpayers. Military personnel are likely not to receive any payment on October 15th, while macroeconomic indices of the United States, including GDP, jobs, and inflation, are skewed to the negative side. Military veterans have been vocal in their disagreement of recent wars proposed by the United States, and the reputation of the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, remains contested. Health issues of Donald Trump continue being addressed, and the release of the Epstein files remains a hot topic in United States domestic issues. Thus, it remains unfeasible that the United States will be able to conduct an efficient war against either Russia, Iran, or Venezuela. Venezuelan military, of course, has very diligently conducted military exercises concentrated this time on the eastern part of Venezuela, specifically in the state of Monagas, well known for a number of conventional petroleum fields, conventional gas fields, and the heavy crude Orinoco Belt eastern section. Military exercises in eastern Venezuela should complement what already has been deployed in northern and northwestern Venezuela. Public opinion against war remains a majority. Regime change methods by the United States support is low, as many persons belonging to the opposition in politics still support the Venezuelan military emphasis in defending our country. Economically, Venezuela is not doing well. The bolivar is devaluing at a rapid pace as it is becoming increasingly difficult to obtain payment for our oil production. A lot has to be done by barter, and last-minute military expenditures are likely to cause an increase in monetary creation. Venezuelans, however, are used to economic hardship, and we are well aware that economic warfare is a strategy of the United States to psychologically deplete our strength. However, they will not succeed. We have learned from the Cubans to resist at all times, as protecting our sovereignty prevails. Economic arrangements with alternative currencies remains an urgent need, which is already being addressed by countries such as India, Iran, China, and Russia. However, those countries share borders, as they are in Asia. While here in the Americas, we have been for too long under the dictatorship of the United States dollar. And even for Brazil, it has become difficult to get away from the dollar standard and embrace any of the Asian currencies. It will be necessary for Venezuela to adopt better relations with both Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, as the Guyanese dollar and the Trinidad and Tobago dollar are likely to become valued units of exchange for ordinary Venezuelans who would like to escape from the volatility of the bolivar. It is of high concern that opposition leader Asruddin Mohammed in Guyana is also being harassed by the United States system of justice, and it would be preferable that he could just take his seat at the Guyana Parliament to fight for the rights, hopes, and wishes of the people who voted for him and his Win party. However, it sounds that he could be extradited. We should remember that Nasruddin Mohammed has been granted a Venezuelan visa, as confirmed by the Venezuelan ambassador in Guyana, and should the United States try to continue harassing him, it would be an honor for Venezuelans to host Nasruddin Mohammed as a political refugee in Caracas. In case he is denied the opportunity to serve his term in the Guyana Parliament. Trinidad and Tobago is urged to improve its diplomatic relationship with the constitutional government of Venezuela, as there are only 6 months left to finalize the Dragon gas deal, which at this time seems impossible to initiate, as Venezuela is absolutely concentrated in deterring military invasion from the United States, including military assets being deployed in the territory of the sister Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago must seek peace and security in order to resume sensitive petroleum topics.